does it seem like everyone wants to steal Spock for some experiment or whatever? Like this episode. I'm inside and I saw Star Trek The Animated Series, Season 1, Episode 7, The Infinite Vulcan. It is directed by Hal Sutherland, written by Walter Koenig. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode follows the USS Enterprise at a planet with a bunch of plants. Sulu picks up a plant and he gets poisoned by that plant, and luckily the people of this planet can help. I'm telling you, these are actual people made out of plants. These are plant-based forms instead of the animal-based forms like humans and such, like mammals, whatever. There's an entire species of plant people who are intelligent. I wonder if there's a Venus flytrap plant people. I don't know if they ever explore planets like this with Venus flytrap people. I've only watched up to the original series and now the animated series, but as I go along in this Star Trek journey, I'll be sure to look out for some Venus flytrap plant people. That'll be so cool. There's a scientist who came to the planet earlier and almost wiped them out. But luckily the plant people had to adapt. But now this person, this human being from the past, he's here and he's big and giant. I believe this is his 5th iteration. I'm like, oh geez, bro, just accept that you're dead. Come on, man. The whole, oh, I don't want to die thing, it's like cool and all, it's human, whatever, but you gotta think about if everybody was like that, you know how many people would just have all over the place? That guy, he kidnaps Spock because he sees Spock and is like, you know, I think I find you pretty interesting. I think you have what it takes, genetics wise and all that fun jazz. You have what it takes to keep me going in my 6th version, like we're in the 6th generation of consoles. That's what it reminds me of, where he's at the PS5 state and he wants to steal Spock and use his body to upgrade to the PS6 state. The process in which they do it is pretty fun. They take Spock, they take his brain, and it's just a hollow shell once they take his consciousness out of it, and it's pretty fun. I'm a big fan. I like the process in which they do it. They lay him on a nice little table. He's just chilling on this table. He's like zombified. He has no brain. But they actually take his consciousness to this little device that they end up finding. The USS Enterprise, Kirk ends up finding. He's like, oh, you're here? Spock's like, yes, and I only have so much time or else I'm gonna die. And then the other Spock is there. So they end up going into like a clone consciousness. And the guy who was still in Spock, he was like, oh, I'm gonna inject my consciousness with Spock, and then he ends up failing, so now there's 2 Spocks. Clone Spock with the consciousness, and then the OG Spock with no body, and it's up to Clone Spock to mind meld the both Spocks together. The guy went to this planet, the 5th iteration of himself. Kirk's like, hey, why are you trying to go between bodies? And he's like, oh, you know, it's because I think we're still at war. And I'm like, okay, but we're not. Kirk's like, we're not. He's like, oh, really? Oh, what am I going to do with my old body? It's going to die. It's going to decay. And Kirk's like, yeah, that's kind of like the point of life. You know? That is kind of just like the point. You just die. I don't know, enjoy yourself doing it. But Spock 2 stays. He stays on the civilization to help out. And then the USS Enterprise is able to go vroom. And I like this kind of ending. This episode is a weird one. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just interesting whenever we have episodes, people stealing Spock's brain. Like there was that episode in the original series, season 3, episode 1, I believe, Spock's brain. Oh wow, Spock's brain is so interesting. The perfect fusion of logic and emotion. But something they don't tell anybody, it seems, and I guess it must be biological because it was, at some points, just controlled will, force of will, we're not going to act on our emotions. And then the people who didn't act on their emotions bred, and then that creates like a lineage until, I guess, the ability to just detach yourself from emotion completely and just be super logical. It's basically just a biological thing you have, like a pancreas or something, is the ability to just detach yourself from emotion. And I guess that's the fun thing about Spock, is that he can just detach himself from emotion so much. He can just look at things logically. As a human, I wish I could do that more. Emotions are kind of stupid, but they're energy in motion, so they're useful. I personally just like how all these people are like, oh my goodness, Spock, we love your logic. Including this civilization, they're like, oh, I love your logic. We want your brain. We want to steal you. That's ultimately just so this big guy can turn into an even bigger guy in his next build. This is a very colorful planet. I don't remember any distinct color palette. The first scene was very greenish. There were some pinks, some purples, not really much else. I do like how the planet is mostly just green with some pinks and purples. Not much variation in the other colors. So with the USS Enterprise with this silvery everywhere, and we got the primary colors, very vibrant, saturated colors, red, yellow, blue for the outfits. They'll stand out pretty starkly in any environment that they're in, including this one. This one is kind of just primitive-ish. I really like the character designs. They were really cool. The plant people impressed me the most. I can just look at the plant people in my head and be like, yeah, this is so cool. I want more plant people in media. This is a fun episode. What do you think of this one? This is alright. I'm not gonna lie. It was an entertaining time. It wasn't remarkable though, so I had to give it, it's a solid 6.9 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one on the platform and likes at $20 Dinos at patreon.com/ASEPresents for 1 movie review per 1 month. Go to the link tree to support the daily grindiness of all them daily movie reviews, so you can go here. And until next time in Salad Saw, I'll see you later my side croutons and bacon bits. Alright. Beam me up.